You have a Buddha bear.
Good morning. My name is Andrew, and I am an alcoholic and an addict.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeannie. I'm an alcoholic and addict.
This is Grooves in Gratitude, a daily live stream that we've been doing for the month of June to strengthen our friendship and our marriage, and also our participation in recovery from all forms of addiction. Jeannie just reminded me today is the summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year, so happy summer solstice. And
Happy solstice.
we didn't say happy Juneteenth the other day, so happy Juneteenth. We celebrate freedom and liberation for all people, and also happy Pride Month as well. So June's a great time of the year to honor diversity and freedom for sure. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about a lot is diversity within the 12-step community around how to get to this higher power. So I found this book right when I got sober. I wasn't religious at the time. I did become religious for a long period of time, and now I'm kind of on the edge of religion, kind of in and out of religion a lot. I'm no longer working in a church, which I did. Anyway, the title is A 12-Step Guide to Recovery for Misfits, Freaks, and Weirdos by a stand-up comic and a slam poet called Bucky Sinister. A man after my own heart, and he specifically addresses steps 2 and 3 from a non-religious perspective, even a non-theistic perspective. And Jeannie's going to read a short quote from his book.
Yeah, it comes from page 55 of his book. So what's an atheist to do? I struggled with this idea for years, stuck on step 2 and 3, but I wasn't going to give up until I found the answer. I used to quit things when they became too difficult or seemed to be futile effort. I made up my mind not to quit until I found a program better. I didn't find another. What I did find are non-deistic higher powers that have worked quite well for me.
So one of my other favorite quotes in this book is when you're at a meeting and you're like, hey, I didn't mainline heroin today. And people are like, yeah, what do you want, a cookie? And then he was like, well, actually, there's the cookies are over there in the back. So we've been
would be nice.
online meetings since the pandemic. So we've been missing the cookies, but we bring our own cookies. I think we could speak about this, Jeannie. We have a really good friend who almost quit the 12-step community in our local community because of people kind of being big book beaters, and maybe they call it the bigger book, the Bible. So they were a bit of Bible beaters and big book beaters.
And they really couldn't understand why a person had issues with that too. So that was the thing. It's not that they were trying to be mean, but they don't get what has happened in a lot of churches and how people have been treated really poorly. So they don't get that. They think it's such a simple, easy thing to accept, that higher power and make your higher power God.
And he has another line right before the section that I read where he says, if you're an atheist in a 12-step meeting full of Christians, just leave it alone. He's like, you don't need to pick an argument. He said it would be like talking about pro wrestling. He said there's no need to, or like some of my friends are really into the Marvel universe. I'm not into the Marvel universe. I don't follow PGA golf. Like if it's not your language of your lineage, if that's not what you and your friends talk about on a regular basis, now get us talking about My Morning Jacket and Jason Isbell, and then that's like a whole nother thing, right? So this doesn't need to be a point of contention either for the theist or for the non-theist. And let me be clear, if you have a spiritual understanding of God that you like, this 12-step idea was really made for folks like us to have that language, but for it to be inclusive. And from the other side also, there's Celebrate Recovery, which thought that the 12-step movement wasn't religious enough, and they wanted to create a movement that was more religious. But I think you can be, non-dogmatic about it. And the theology, if there is one of AA, is one that's inclusive. I think they say it's broad, it's inclusive, it's open to everyone. In 12 steps, they say the only requirement is a desire to stop using whatever that thing is. So if it's, gambling or compulsive shopping or overeating or drinking or using drugs. It's just abstinence from that thing that's trying to kill you. So it's step 3. We did that. We made that decision. We shared our prayer the other day, our step 3 prayer. Mm-hmm. And we're going to move in for our final week to
the song today too.
Oh, yeah. So back in the 80s, I was listening to U2, and there was kind of a couple of bands that were sort of U2 adjacent, or U2, they in the spirit of. One was called The Alarm. I believe they were from Scotland as opposed to from Ireland. But Mike Peters was saying in the song Strength, give me love, give me hope, give me strength. And I think these are the things in Bucky's book. Back to Bucky's book, he says you can make your own higher power. He calls it the ideal image. At the back of the book, he has a whole section on the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell, which is very influential to like a lot of our fantasy universes, like The Matrix or Star Wars, whatever. This idea that we can be the better self that we want to be, and that's different than the self that got drunk. It's a totally different person. So you're not really worshiping yourself. You're worshiping this better idea about who you might become. And it's aspirational. You never kind of arrive. I'm sure Bucky wrote this book many years ago. If we met him today, he would still tell us that he wasn't enlightened completely. This book came in 2008. I hope it's still in print. I didn't look that up. I'll look for a link of it and drop that in the comments. So what are we moving on to for the last section is step 11, I think.
Step 10 and then step 11. So next week, or this coming week that we're going to be covering, we'll deal with step 10, and then the final week, step 11.
This is the final week.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. If this is the final week, then we talked about doing step 11. Step 11 is about meditation and prayer. We like to think, or myself, I should say, I like to think of meditation as a type of form of prayer. When I get to that point of silence in my meditation, I really feel like I connect at that time with my higher power. So it's definitely a form of prayer for me. And it's very calming, and it recenters me. So I have found it a very useful tool. I was exposed to this by a great friend, Sheila Barnes. I hold her up with great respect. She passed a few years ago, but she taught yoga at leisure services here in Cookeville. And it was just a fantastic class. They still have it. Someone else is teaching it, but it's designed for senior citizens, which I guess now I qualify. I still don't feel like one, but it's called chair yoga. And so you're doing something physical, excuse me. And at the end of it, she would have like 10 minutes of Shavasana where you just lay there, and she gets you into this meditative state. And you just lie there for 10 minutes. A lot of us would fall asleep, but sometimes you would just have a really great moment of connecting. She would have on the sound, the ocean waves. And it was just so calming, so enriching for me. I was going through an extremely stressful time at my work, and it really changed how I was perceiving life and, my job and things like that. And so I highly recommend it. I'm just a big believer that meditation needs to be a part of everyone's life.
So we're going to do the last week focusing on hopefully ideas about how to maintain a great attitude and approach to this way of life in perpetuity. And when we met, she had been already doing this for a long time. She quote unquote went back out a couple of times, but those were extremely brief. And then she came back in, and I've been continuously sober for 14 years. So between us, we have like at least 30 years of this thing. And when we were just on our walk one morning is when we came up with the idea to make these streams. And we've gotten a lot of really incredible feedback from our friends. So we just thank you so much. And yeah, I think we've got, since we missed a day, in there. I don't know if we'll end up with having 27 or 28 days, but we're just going to probably ride it through around a week from tomorrow, and then we're going to close up shop, and
maybe we'll keep going.
And we'll be on our way.
Yeah.
Our next podcast is going to be about food. We're gonna talk about food.
Grab and gratitude.
Yeah, we're gonna move from grooves and gratitude to grab and gratitude. Or maybe we'll do these occasionally, but maybe not every day. How about that?
But I hope you join us again tomorrow. We really have been enjoying this.
Thank you for tuning in this morning.
Bye.